Welcome to Joy News at 6. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM and hits 103.9 FM in Accra. In Kumasi, we're live on Love 99.5 FM and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Bederin FM Bumpurugu, Klenam Radio Bato, Gaskia FM Techiman and Radio Wawa. Get radio, TV and online content on the myjoyonline.com interactive app for Android and iOS devices. Coming up, the International Monetary Fund calls on the Bank of Ghana to tame inflation and cautions the 60 billion loss should not be an excuse to shirk responsibility of its policy mandates. We have details for you. Also in business, economist Dr. Edu Owusu-Sarkodie kicks against zero financing of government's budget by the Bank of Ghana despite the central bank's loss in 2022. Also coming up, calls for accountability intensify as anti-graft campaigners urge state institutions to work together in unraveling the issues surrounding the Cecilia Dapastash cash saga.
Why are they not collaborating? Why are they working in silos when they can do better working together? And so they should cooperate with each other.
And later, Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Dr. Vladimir Entry Danso, cast doubts on the ability of ECOWAS to carry out its threats of a military intervention in Niger.
I do not think that they took the right decision in the first place. In the second place, let us not deceive anybody by thinking that we have a standby force. We don't have it. It will be difficult.
Details as the regional bloc orders an activation and deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order. Let's dig in now. I am Amisi Nyamiche Thompson. The International Monetary Fund has cautioned the Bank of Ghana against boycotting policy mandates of the fund despite the financial setback experienced in the fiscal year ending 2022. The IMF emphasized that it remains essential for the central bank to take decisive measures to steer inflation back to its designated target of 8%. My colleague Elton Brobe joins me in studio with more from the IMF statement. Elton, what explanation is the IMF providing on the BOG loss?
Well, according to the fund, the loss the Bank of Ghana incurred in the process has contributed to reducing its net equity to a negative value. Importantly, the fund said that this does not prevent the central bank from fulfilling its policy mandate and ensuring inflation gradually returns towards the 8% target. The IMF has, however, backed the Bank of Ghana's 60 billion Ghana cedi loss, saying the impairment which was brought on by the government domestic debt exchange was necessary to restore microeconomic stability and public sustainability. The IMF has said that the BOG's participation in the domestic debt exchange was to share some of the burden the DDE places on government debt holders, along with banks and other financial institutions, pension funds and individuals. In fact, the IMF anticipates that central bank's income will be adequate to cover the costs associated with monetary policy. The BOG net equity is expected to improve significantly over time and eventually return to positive territory. The IMF concludes in this Q&A on its website.
Thank you very much, Elton. Moving on, calls for accountability intensify as anti-graft campaigners urge state institutions to collaborate in unraveling the issues surrounding the Cecilia Dapastash cash saga. Confidential information sourced from within the Office of the Special Prosecutor reveals the discovery of more than $590,000 and 2.7 million cedis at her residence in a recent search of her accommodations. Anti-corruption campaigner with Ghana Integrity Initiative, Mary Ada, emphasized that the police, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and other relevant state agencies work together to expedite the case.
One of the things we have called for is that investigative agencies of state, particularly the anti-corruption one, should identify that this space can only work if they work together. So what stops the police, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and the Attorney General, who has indeed given them power to prosecute? What stops them from engaging? Why are they not collaborating? Why are they working in silos when they can do better working together? And so they should cooperate with each other.
Mary Ada is also urging all and sundry to volunteer information to agencies probing the matter to help settle the issue.
This for us is heartwarming, and we are only watching on to see how the process proceed. And we are hoping that the court would affirm the OSP's request to ensure that they do even more investigations into the resources of the lady. The only thing we would ask for is that the citizens of Ghana also be more proactive in disclosing whatever information they have to ensure that it facilitates the work of the OSP. This would inure to the benefit of all of us.
One of the lead campaigners of hashtag Ken Must Go Drive, Eugene Boakye Entry, says the insistence of President Akufo-Addo to keep finance minister at post will hurt his legacy, with poor economic indicators showing Ken Ofori-Atta had failed at his job. Late last year, some 80 MPs asked the president to sack the finance minister to restore hope in the financial sector. The Member of Parliament for Subin says he and his colleagues will leave the president to do what he wants, but his legacy will be questioned in the future.
If the president, with all his executive powers, feel that Ken Ofori-Atta is still the best person to manage the financial affairs or economic affairs of this country, it's the President Akufo-Addo's government. It's his legacy. It's his legacy. Appropriations reduced from 227 to 206. Oil revenue is down by 10 billion.
GDP growth revised downwards.
If the president feels that he's the best thing since sliced bread that's happened to his government, who are we? We've made our case.
So that is all.
That is all.
To some politics now, two-time contender for the Ododo parliamentary seat, Neelante Bannerman has vowed to snatch the seat from the NDC's Neelante Vanderpoy in the 2024 elections. He filed his nomination to contest the NPP primaries for the third time on Thursday. Addressing the media after the filing, Mr. Bannerman said he is the man with enough experience to secure what he calls a rightful NPP seat for the party.
Having contested for 3 times, I have enough experience to know what to do and what not to do. It will be difficult for me to tell you what is up my sleeves, but I can assure you that we are very poised to win the seat. In fact, the primaries you are saying it is a done deal for me. It is true, but I'm not going to be complacent because every election has its own dynamic, so I'm not going to be complacent.
Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Professor Vladimir Ntwi-Danso, has cast doubt on the ability of ECOWAS to carry out its threats of a military intervention in Niger. West African leaders on Thursday directed the Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff to immediately activate and deploy the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order. Listen to President of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Toure, read out the decisions taken by the West African heads of state.
Direct the Committee of the Chief of Defense Staff to activate a standby force with all its elements immediately. Order the deployment of the ECOWAS standby force to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Underscore its continued commitment to the restoration of constitutional order through peaceful means.
But Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Professor Vladimir Ntwi-Danso, is casting doubt on the ability of ECOWAS to carry out its threats.
So I do not think that they took the right decision in the first place. In the second place, let us not deceive anybody by thinking that we have a standby force. We don't have it. It will be difficult. The mandate, the troop movement, see, formations that make war. So what kind of formation? Which are the 2 contributing countries and what training are they having together? So
now, the trauma of seeing her 14-year-old son take his own life has left a 40-year-old woman traumatized for life as she continues to sail at the very spot her son's lifeless body was found hanging. Asin-Fosu-based Awuya is not only overwhelmed by grief as she battles depression, though the cocoa tree on which her son allegedly hanged himself has been cut, the presence of its stems brings back the saddest memories to her anytime she gets near them. In this hotline documentary titled Whispers in the Dark, Ohim Interior explores how the country is losing its future leaders to suicide.
Suicide, a mental health issue, is shrouded in myth and secrecy in Ghana. It receives no attention as many shy away from its discussions. Sadly, the phenomenon continues to grow, snuffing out the lives of many young persons in the Ghanaian society. One of such young persons who died through suicide is Josephus, a JHS pupil who aspired to be a footballer. His painful death has left the mother not only traumatized, but also depressed. The mother of 3 is among several families and relatives left in a fit of confusion and guilt as Ghana continues to record an increasing number of children and adolescents attempting suicide or dying through suicide.
He was my companion. He supported me in everything I do. My son was all that I have here. I don't sleep at night because of the pain. This is a son who was my everything, my advisor. I check on the cocoa tree stump all the time. I do this hoping I see my son here. Though I don't see him, it is my hope I see him by my side one day. I visited him today.
Children and adolescents die each day through suicide, but few are reported to the police or end up at the hospital. Though some health facilities across the country are recording increasing number of attempted suicide cases, especially among children and teenagers in the last 5 years, the trend has gone unchecked.
SS Over Him Interior's documentary Whispers in the Dark is coming on Monday on all Joy News platforms. And that's how we end the bulletin. In our top story, International Monetary Fund calls on the Bank of Ghana to tame inflation and cautions that the 60 billion loss should not be an excuse to shirk its policy mandates. I am Amisi Nyamichet Thompson. Business is next on the Super Morning Show.